Hello and welcome to Theo Wellbeing Centre. Today we have a guest and this is Steve Shreeve, and I'm going to let Steve introduce himself.
Hello everyone, I'm Steve Shreeve. I run my business Shreeve Health and Fitness, helping busy people in any location feel physically younger. I've been in the fitness industry for 22 years and running my fitness business for 11 years. I first got into fitness when I was a young lad because I was massively passionate about basketball, played National League basketball as a young lad, and I watched a documentary about Michael Jordan when I was about 15 and saw him doing his fitness training, doing his strength training for basketball. And I was really inspired by that, and I thought, wow, if Michael Jordan's doing this to become the best basketball player he can be, this is something I need to be doing.
Yeah.
So when I was 16, I got my gym induction and I joined a gym. And I loved it, and it made a huge difference to my fitness. And do you remember Mr. Motivator?
Yeah.
The fitness guy on TV. My teammates used to call me Mr. Motivator because I was so into my fitness back in the day on the basketball court.
Yeah.
And then I got my first fitness qualification at 19 years old. I'm going to turn 42 next week. So just to give you an idea of how long I've been doing it. And I became massively passionate about continuing to learn more. And although my initial interest in it was to be better at the sport I loved, as I learned more, I gained a real deep appreciation for what it can do for the whole of our lives.
Yeah.
And even at a young age, I was looking at this going, wow, this stuff that I'm doing now can help to keep my body young for my whole life. Like, I love being fit, I love feeling fit. I love being able to do all the things I want to do in my life, and continuing on this fitness journey can help me do that.
Wow.
So throughout my career in fitness, I've always been inspired to help people kind of get that message. So my first 11 years I did, because I was still playing basketball at high level, very ambitious in that sport. I did fitness instructing evenings and weekends at the gym, alongside other jobs and alongside doing my basketball. And it was when I turned 30 that I set up my business, Shreeve Health and Fitness.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
Yeah, so it's been a long journey. Yeah.
But that's brilliant. But all the way through, you've been concentrating on fitness. And is it ever too late?
It's never too late. No, you can improve your fitness at any decade of life. Specifically, a statistic I like to tell people is that starting in their 30s, most people start to lose muscle at a rate of 1 to 2% per year.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is why people tend to start to feel worse as they get older, because as they're aging, their body's losing muscle.
Yeah.
When they lose muscle, that slows their metabolism down. It also leaves their joints with less support, because our muscles are our support structures for our joints. So that's when aches and pains start to come into the joints, things like that. And they just feel weaker and everything feels a lot harder. If you think about climbing a set of stairs, if you're losing muscle and getting weaker, every step up those stairs is getting harder as you're losing more muscle. So then that takes more energy out of you throughout the day, just normal things you're doing. At the end of the day, you're more tired. But we can reverse that at any decade of life.
Wow.
There was a really good research study done that I love to quote because I think it's amazing, and it was done on people living in a care home. The average age of the people in the study was 89 years old.
Wow.
And they were put through a strength training program for several weeks. It was a relatively small program. It was only 7 exercises. To put that into context, I normally do 14, 15 exercises in my own workouts. So very small program they were put on. At the end of the research study, they were all able to spend less time in their wheelchairs. They'd all gained muscle and lost fat. And importantly, 2 of them were actually able to give up their wheelchairs completely. And 1 of them left the care home and went back to living independently.
Wow.
After just several weeks of strength training. So it is magic. It is literally anti-aging. It turns back the clock on our bodies. There's loads of fascinating research going on. We know that strength training actually affects the genes in our muscles and makes them behave like the genes of people up to 20 years younger. So it doesn't, people often think about the outward aspects of fitness, but there's stuff going on under the surface that we can't see. There's a massive, massive difference on our health, our well-being and our longevity and how we feel.
Wow. And you've just had a major change in your life, haven't you?
I have, yes. I've just become a dad, yes.
It's gorgeous baby. Yeah, so tell us about that journey as well.
Yeah, so I also, I've, having been involved in fitness for as long as I have, got lots of fitness qualifications and different specialisms and stuff. And so one of the areas I specialise in is anti and postnatal fitness. That's fitness during pregnancy and after pregnancy. Naturally, I helped my wife with her pregnancy fitness, and once she's had a 6-week check, I'll be helping her with her post-pregnancy fitness. But I think something that isn't talked about enough is fitness for dads. That's right, yeah. So when I looked at my journey on the way to becoming a father, I thought I've got 9 months to prepare. And I was preparing my mind. I was reading lots of books and things because I think it's important to feel prepared to be a dad. Yeah. But also my body as well. I was thinking, my wife's going to need a lot more support when we have this baby. I'm going to have to do more to help support my baby, himself. Yeah. And I'm going to be doing more around the house to support my wife while she's doing all the things she needs to do as a mum. And I've still got to work and still got to support all my clients. Yeah. Plus, there's naturally going to be sleep disturbances as well. So I'm going to be tired. So in order for me to be a good husband, a good father, to perform well for my clients who depend on me for my support, I need to be fitter than I am now. Wow. Because I need to have the energy to do all these things when actually I'm probably going to have some disturbed sleep, I'm going to be tired. So I spent that 9 months of my wife's pregnancy also working on getting fitter than I already was, so that I would have the energy to do all these things for my wife, for my baby, for my clients. And look at you. We want to feel good in our lives, right? We don't want to feel exhausted by the challenges we're coming up against.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was my little kind of journey on my fitness journey into fatherhood. And again, I think an important message that I'd like to get across to anyone watching this as well. People can look at a personal trainer and say, fitness must be easy for you. You're a personal trainer. Yeah, no. But I'm still a real person. I still have a family. I still have stresses. I'm running a business. I'm not just personal training people. I'm running a business. I'm a very, very busy guy. And the people that I train are very busy as well. So I can empathize and understand that. So just because I'm a personal trainer doesn't mean that fitness is easy for me. I have the same challenges for everyone else. And the biggest challenge that I had during that 9 months of my wife's pregnancy was, how can I get fitter than I am now without having to spend more time doing it? And it was all about finding the right training methods that would allow me to do it without spending huge amounts of time on it, but get the biggest return on my time investment. That's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. And you are a virtual personal trainer. Yes, virtual personal trainer. Yes, virtual fitness coach. Yeah. So during the time that I've run my business, I started out training people in a local gym. And eventually I wanted to create a private space to train people. So I set up my own private fitness studio at my home. And then I did a bit of half and half at the gym, half at the private fitness studio. And do you know what the inspiration for that was? People tell you personal stuff when you're training them. Yes. And if someone's on a treadmill or on a weights bench and there's 2 or 3 other people around them, do you really want to be sharing your challenges when there's other people around you? So I wanted to create that private space. So that's kind of why I moved in that direction. But then it was getting to the point where online fitness services were becoming more visible to people like myself, trainers. And when people talked about them, they talked about the benefits to the personal trainer. And if I'm going to do something, it has to be beneficial to my clients first and foremost. And I remember training someone in the gym one night in 2018, and we'd just been through a great workout. I said to her, that was brilliant. She was full of energy, feeling really good. Yeah, that was great. Let's book in our next session. And the conversation went a bit like this. Right, so should we do the same time next week? No, I can't. I've got a work meeting. Okay. How about we do Sunday? Oh, no, unfortunately, I'm not working Sunday. How about we do that other time that we did the other way, like Thursday morning? No, I can't. I've got my kids' assembly. And then before we knew it, it was like going to be 2 or 3 weeks before we could see each other again, right? Yeah. So that was a real aha moment for me, because I said I can only help people if I can see them. Yeah. And my client load was getting busier and busier, and there was competition for busy training times, and it was getting harder and harder to see people. Yeah. So I thought, I've got to find another way to help people. So I spent 14 months developing an online fitness service. I launched it in 2020, literally just before we went into lockdown. Yeah. People keep accusing me of being a psychic. I'm not a psychic. it was just pure chance. Like I decided in, end of 2018 that I needed to develop this service so I could help people more and provide more support to them and more flexibility to them. So I spent the entirety of 2018 working on that, and then a little bit of time at the beginning of 2020, and then launched it. And I've been doing that for 5 years now. And the other thing from a personal trainer's point of view is, quite often you'll end up having a conversation with someone like this. You'll have a personal training session with them. You'll see them a week later and you'll say, so did you do those exercises I recommended you do in the sessions? And you'll get something back like, no, I was too busy. Yeah. So with my virtual fitness coaching services, as it's evolved to what it is today, it enables me to support people more, because instead of just seeing people for a session, I support them for their entire training week. I plan everything they need to do fitness-wise for the week. I'm available if they need support in between their workouts. They can contact me. I tell people, if you wake up one morning and say, I don't feel like exercising today, just send me a message and tell me.
Yes.
And I'll give you a little pep talk, and we can have a chat and get you back on track. Because that's people might feel ashamed sometimes of waking up and going, I just don't feel like doing this today. But it's normal.
Yes.
I have days like that as well. So I want people to understand that it's okay. I feel that too. If you feel that, just get in touch, we'll have a chat, we'll get you back on track. So it's that ability to be able to support people more with flexibility. The amount of times I would see people turn up to personal training sessions and they would just be completely frazzled because they've had to finish work, get home, feed the kids, jet off to their personal training session, and they're just adrenaline and cortisol flowing through them because they've been trying to get so much done. Whereas actually this new system that I use allows people much more flexibility, but they still get the full support of myself in terms of the exercise programming and any other support that they need as well.
That's perfect. That's so brilliant. So Theo Wellbeing Centre, you work with us closely.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I have a close relationship with Michael Palfrey, who's the principal osteopath here, and we met several years ago, and I think we have a lot of shared values in that we like to help people, and we like to help people feel well and to be able to live their best lives. And something that I always say about Michael, that I tell other people, is Michael will always be honest with you.
Yes.
He will always be honest with you. He won't mess you around. If he can help you, he will help you. If he thinks you need something else, he'll tell you. And also, if he thinks you've had enough treatment, he'll tell you.
Yes.
So I really love that about Michael. It gives me a lot of confidence that if anybody's dealing with any physical ailments that Michael or any of his team at Theo Wellbeing Centre can help with, that I can refer them to them confidently and say, look, this is someone that I trust, and this is someone that you can trust. And I absolutely trust Michael and the team at Theo Wellbeing Centre hands down. And so, being able to have that confidence. And I think it's important for people to work together and multidisciplinary approaches. Sometimes people don't just need a personal trainer or don't just need an osteopath in order to enhance their total wellness and help them with any issues that they deal in. Sometimes it takes a team. And so I think having those relationships where you have a team of people that you can trust and that we can work together and communicate together to get the best outcome for that individual can be really beneficial. Yeah,
that's brilliant. And was there anything else you'd like to add today?
Well, do you know what? Let's talk about what I think often goes underestimated about fitness is it's not just about, any movement you do is good, right? We know that people get the biggest health benefits from fitness when they go from doing nothing to doing something, even if it's something small. But there's an exercise guideline out there that I don't think is talked about often enough, and it's that all adults should be strength training twice a week. And it comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, where adults are losing muscle. And you can reverse that any stage of life. People know that they should be out walking and doing all those good things, but it's hard to do those things if you've got sore knees.
Yes, you're right.
And so that's where the strength training comes in. And so I want to remove the stigma from strength training. If you look on the internet, if you look on social media, all the content out there about strength training is predominantly about do this if you want to look better or look good for the beach and things like that. And I think it sells the benefits of strength training short. And I would say the biggest benefit of strength training is it helps you to live your best quality of life at every stage of life. And that's why I want to encourage all adults to get into strength training. And remember that it doesn't have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to always be done in gyms. It doesn't have to always be done with weights. There's a flavour of strength training that is appropriate for everyone. And as long as they've got appropriate guidelines to make sure it's safe and relevant to them as individuals, it's one of the best things that anyone can do with their life, and it's often the missing link that people need to really be feeling their best.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Steve.
My pleasure.
We are going to introduce more of Steve doing some strength training that you can do at home. So thank you, and thanks, Steve.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.